Hi, friends. I have another exciting Halloween story for us to read today. So, this story is called It's Raining Bats and Frogs. What would you do if you looked outside and it was raining bats and frogs? So, there's a saying you might remember or have heard before that's called It's Raining Cats and Dogs, which really just means it's raining hard and a lot of water outside. So, but because this is a Halloween story, we are going to read It's Raining Bats and Frogs. So, the story is written by Rebecca Colby, which means that's the person who wrote all the words. And it's illustrated by Stephen Henry, which means he's the one who drew the pictures. So, let's read It's Raining Bats and Frogs. And listen for a couple rhyming words. There's a few in here. Every year, Delia looked forward to flying in the witch parade. This year was no different, despite the black clouds hovering overhead. I think it's going to rain, said Delia. It did rain hard. The witches were wet and miserable. It's raining on our parade, wailed one. Positively pouring buckets, moaned another. That gave Delia an idea. What do you think her idea is? What will she do? Delia whipped out her wand and began to chant. It's raining, it's pouring, but raindrops are boring. Change the rainfall on my head. Make it cats and dogs instead. Oh dear. So cats and dogs, remember I told you that just means that it's raining really hard. But Delia's a witch. Nice doggy. I've never met a cat I didn't like. The witches were thrilled at first. See how it's actually raining cats and dogs? They're falling from the clouds. You call this a cat? Dog nabbit, give me back my broom. Then the parade came to an abrupt halt. This will never do, said Delia, raising her wand a second time. The raining and pouring may have been quite boring, but cats and dogs, they just don't work. They hiss and bark and go berserk. So change what's falling on my head, make it hats and clogs instead. Oh dear. Black hats, my favorite. A girl can never have too many shoes. So clogs are a type of shoe. The witches were overjoyed at first. That's my hat. No, that's my hat. Well, those are my shoes. I saw them first. Then the parade erupted into a free-for-all. Delia sighed. What a big to-do, she said, waving her wand again. The raining and pouring may have been quite boring, but hats and clogs just have to go, inciting fights, creating woe. So change what's falling on my head, make it bats and frogs instead. Snack time, girls! Somebody grab a cauldron. The witches were ecstatic at first. Oh, I've been slimed. I don't think that's slime. But then the witches became even more wet and miserable than before. What should we do now? Wondered Delia. Delia had run out of ideas. Gnats and bogs? She mumbled to herself. Mats and logs? Rats and hogs? The more Delia thought about it, the more she realized there was only one thing to do. With that, she raised her wand one last time and chanted, the raining and pouring wasn't really boring, and bats and frogs just make a mess. They drop and plop and cause distress, so change what's falling on my head back to drops of rain instead. Oh, thank goodness it's only water. A little rain never hurt anyone. The witches were relieved. The parade soon proceeded. And the longer it rained, the more exciting the parade became. The floats began to float. The marching band learned synchronized swimming. And Delia and her friends tossed water balloons into the crowd. Everyone agreed it was the best parade ever. Until the year it snowed. So, if you could choose anything to fall from the sky, would you choose rain or would you choose something else?